Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, a production of Gorecom, in which we take the time to speak with small cap executives after they put out important news. And guys, important news is an understatement. This is global macro war news that's come out of DraganFly. It's unbelievable. With us to talk about it, you can see him on the screen, Cameron Schell, who's the chairman and CEO, trades on both the NASDAQ and in Canada under the stock symbol DPRO. For those new to the story, because you might have seen the big news, the company's ticker symbol scrolling across CNBC, Bloomberg, and other networks as the stock was up over 90% in pre-market trading today. And you're wondering, who are these guys? Here's what you need to know. A great, powerful summary. They're established in 1998 and considered the oldest commercial drone company in the world. Now, as the global UAV leaders in hardware, software, logistics, and services, DraganFly isn't your recreational drone company. They're an award-winning industry leader with tier one clients serving industries like top companies, top enterprises, and global law enforcement. And I got to tell you, so many industries we can't even go through them all, but all of them having a massive impact. For example, they've developed a robust vaccine delivery payload for use in critical regions by drone to deliver these into critical regions. They've also developed drone-based AI solutions for landmine detection. And that's just a microcosm of all the different amazing applications they put out. More than just lip service. Their last for their last financial report, their 9 months ended September 30th, $5.4 million in revenue, up 88% compared to the last year. And listen to this headline. This is what we're talking about. This is massive. DraganFly receives order for critical life-saving drones from revived soldiers Ukraine for immediate deployment to the Ukraine. Unbelievable. Cam, welcome back, my friend.
Thanks, George. Thanks so much for having us and always being so kind.
Well, look, usually you and I have a lot of fun, and we're going to have some fun on this here, but this is actually a very, very serious topic, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, as the world watches what's going on in the Ukraine, so many of us feel helpless. In fact, I was at a dinner last night. I'm on vacation right now. We're at dinner where people are saying, how do we help? What can we do? You guys are taking action. Before we discuss the details, right, what you guys are going to do, how big is this for the company? How important is for DraganFly, its brand, for the company, for its entire ecosystem to be providing this kind of help to Ukraine soldiers?
Well, the fact that we get to do what we get to do in support of humanitarian solutions it's the ethos of the whole company. You know, in 2013, we were the first drone to save a human life, and that drone sits in the Smithsonian today. And now today we've got advanced technology on these drones that will be allowing the delivery of medicines, pharmaceuticals, blood, insulin, you know, all the things that they can't get into these zones by foot, or all the things where people are cut off, or to people who are injured. And there's no better use. Like there's all kinds of cool things to do with drones, but like seriously, in our heart of hearts, there's nothing more important to us than saving. You know, our thing is, you know, we save time, you know, time, money, and lives. Well, you know, time's super important, and you know, money is what it's important. But when you have an opportunity to save lives and to work with an organization like this using our advanced technology, it has huge implications for us. You know, our culturally it has implications for us. We get to be a part of doing some of the right things in the world, but it is also pushing our product line. We did not plan to have this product line live until this summer. Now we've been testing it, you know, in Texas for the last year with EMS in Texas, and doing drone deliveries, night flights, all the rest of it. So the product was ready to go. But when the call came to set and the scenario was laid out of why they needed this particular type of drone in this situation, we just put everything, all tools went down and went focused on this, and we're delivering them their product and their logistics.
Man, how big of a problem do you think you guys are solving? Because look, clearly we can all imagine that there are soldiers, like I said, they're cut off. They're in areas that they can't get help. Look, you can't send an ambulance through the streets of Ukraine. That's just not going to work anymore, right? So how big of a problem do you think you're solving with this solution?
Yeah, it's interesting that you say ambulance, because Revive Soldier Ukraine, they just a few weeks ago they purchased 11 ambulances and sent them into zone, and they're effective, but they're not necessarily effective in the most critical areas. So you know, how effective will this be? It's going to save somebody's life, and the whole program is worth that. Like, who knows how many lives it could save? Who knows what impact it will have? Who knows what we'll all learn from it? Who knows how it will change, the face of the theater, of the combat theater, and how injured combatants or injured civilians get treated, or how well they can get responded to, and how quickly. I think there's going to be so much to be learned, and it will be game changing. But listen, somebody's life is going to be saved, so who cares what it costs? Let's just do it.
The Ukrainians almost have, we didn't know this until this conflict broke out, but apparently they're incredible drone drivers or flyers, right? Remote drone flyers. Who's going to be, talk to us about the practical side of this. How does this get deployed? You deliver the drones. Do they need to train on them for a certain amount of time? And then are they the ones running the program?
Yeah, so certainly at present, they have enough experienced drone pilots to handle this initial order. We do expect, however, that this order will grow sizably, because we think the impact is going to be, and we hope the impact is going to be, just obvious. And so in that case, a training program will be put in place. It's likely something that we would do in Poland or something, for the very experienced drone pilots that they do have inside of this organization already. They'll be able to fly these drones without much problem. And certainly we've got virtual training and some things that are going on with them along that lines. But we have made considerations and have some preliminary plans in place that, as the order size grows and as the success of the program demonstrates itself, that training over in some of the NATO countries might be appropriate.
Do you have any understanding of potentially how soon these could be deployed?
There's 3 that are shipping right now. There's another 10 that are coming off the line, inside of the next week or two, and and we're gearing for hundreds more. We're kind of rejigging some resources in order to get as many there as possible. The incredible thing about drones is they're amazingly inexpensive compared to what they do. So if you think about trying to find somebody in rubble, and the amount of people and manpower it takes, and what you can do with a search and rescue drone that has a thermal camera on it, and how many man hours and how many hours and you can determine with the software on our particular drones, you could determine the vital signs of that person. So you could actually triage who you should be searching and rescuing. If you think about having to get, one of the big calls right now is getting insulin into certain areas, in particular for kids that can't get insulin. And so, so you fly it, the cost of sending a human in or trying to drive a vehicle in to do that, right, which is how it's done now, is tremendous. And so if you can fly drones into those areas, land them within feet of where they need to be, and get them taking off again. And the one question I get is, well, what if it gets shot down or knocked down, or like, so what? So somebody got their insulin, somebody got that blood they needed, like, send another drone. Like, you can send hundreds of these things. You can send thousands of these things. You can't send thousands of volunteers, to get that one package of insulin or that critical blood into a situation. So again, I think this is really going to be game changing,
right, Cam? This isn't
just time matters, right?
This isn't George needs a book and Cam needs a DVD. This is George needs insulin, Cam needs blood, and we need to get there as fast as humanly possible.
Absolutely. And so, so what if your failure rate, it won't be 50%, but if your failure rate was 50%, it would still be the by far greatest, I hate to think in terms of ROI, but it would be the by far greatest return on investment in terms of equipment and manpower for a result gained. Like, this is, it's going to be really interesting to see how this unfolds. And we're really excited to see how the product works. And we're super proud to be a part of people that are brave enough to be moving this forward aggressively.
How did Revive Soldiers Ukraine find DraganFly and decide DraganFly is the partner for us? Because they must have scoured the entire planet, right, to look for the best possible solutions. How they find us, and how they make that determination that this is it, these are the guys.
Yeah, so it actually ended up coming through some, they did some research. They were looking at a number of companies, and basically they had been imploring people on their site to even just go to Amazon, right, and buy DJI drones with thermal kits on them and send them over, right? Like, they just needed anything on these search and rescue operations to help, and so they were doing that. the reality is those DJI drones, which are Chinese, well, they're Chinese made, and so they're security compromised. So we have footage of Chinese drones being targeted, and well, you've seen it, George.
I've seen the video.
So it's like all of a sudden they're like, hey, we want to use North American drones. Originally they came to us because we had this particular type of package that could deliver 35 pounds of medical goods, right? I mean, we specifically designed it. It's top loaded. You can get access to it quickly. It's temperature controlled, so you can put blood in it. So that was the requirement they were initially looking for. And we're really the only ones that do that right now. And so that's how they came across us. But then since the apparent knowledge that the Chinese drones are being easily targeted, and relief workers and such who are using it are, then being shelled, then there's no more Chinese drones. So they've got this immediate need for thousands of drones and thousands of them. And so we're doing our best to meet that call. And so we were sending over our medical relief drone, and we're sending over our search and rescue drones.
In terms of functionality, obviously it's going to be delivering payload, but again, going back to the example of George, getting delivery of a book or something like that, my address. But here, George the soldier is somewhere in this area. So is it delivering payload, but also search and rescue? What are the different kind of functionality that these drones are going to come equipped with?
Yeah, so there's two basic setups. There's one drone that's really just all about delivery. So it has a payload box on top. It's temperature controlled, so you can take medicines, pharmaceuticals, blood, etc. And it's really coordinated to get sent to to a GPS spot or a general location or such. And of course, you can fly by wire. You don't need to have visual line of sight. So there's lots more options to be able to get drones into areas. You don't necessarily have to have a spotter. If you've got some comms, you can, people are just going to do their best, between visual GPS and comms, to get these drones as close to a location as possible. And that's on the delivery side. The search and rescue side is a bit more, not necessarily frontline type work, is probably a bit more, where the shelling has happened, and they need to actually, use the thermals and or use the vitals on there to see how many survivors are there. Are there survivors there? Hey, was there anybody in that building? So imagine trying to go and walk a building that's just been shelled, or put a drone up, right, and run thermals across the whole thing for 5 minutes. You get a much better sense of where you need to deploy your resources, or if anybody's in there, or if they're alive. And so two different types of use cases.
The one thing we'll be able to quantify going forward, and I almost don't want to ask you now, is we're shareholders at the end of the day. You're a public company, you're a commercial enterprise, is what this is going to be worth the company in terms of revenue. Maybe I'll ask you that later. But the one thing I'd like you to be able to quantify for all of us now, that you can't see on a balance sheet or an income statement, is what's the reaction you heard or your team heard from Revive Soldiers Ukraine, the group, in terms of how much is going to help them? The relief they feel that they're going to have this kind of a tool accessible to them to help soldiers and people. Maybe you can help us, because that's the real global humanitarian story right now that I want to get across.
Yeah, they I think two words. One is hope. Yeah, hope and gratitude.
It's got to feel great, Cam. It's got to feel great knowing that, man, you've always said this from the beginning, before a lot of people even knew who DraganFly was, right? But the humanitarian side was so important to you. You already did the landmine detection, the delivery of payload. And did you ever in your wildest dreams imagine that you and your company, your amazing team, could play such an incredible central role in the biggest theater, the biggest wartime conflict we've seen in Europe since World War II?
Yeah, you never know when it's going to come or when it shows up, and so we're hopeful and grateful as well, and we'll do whatever it takes to help make sure this is successful for the people over there, for sure.
Do you think we'll be able to will these drones come equipped? I'm assuming they're going to come equipped with some kind of cameras, some kind of visuals. You think we might get a chance to see some good news stories in the coming
Oh,
weeks, maybe months, where we'll say, hey, there it is. Thermal picked up a guy on the street, a guy on the side of the road. They come down,
amazing.
George, deliver. You think that'll be possible?
That would be incredible. You know, I'm embarrassed. I didn't even think of that, but man, that would be amazing. That would
I
be,
think the world would love to
we'll
see it.
try. Yeah, let's try.
If it's possible, I think the world will love to see it. Let's
Yeah,
talk
it'd be
about the
incredible.
business side for a second. What does this
Sure.
do for the validation around the world, the global validation? Not that you guys needed it, but I mean, you guys, it seems like the Draganfly name just keeps gaining momentum and getting better and better. What does this mean for third-party validation, man?
Yeah, I think so. First of all, for us to be able to put a product in theater like this in the time frame that we've done and show its robustness, that it's got almost a year of deployment in Texas and flights and all the rest of it. But for us to then be able to put this in this theater and to be focused on our mission of saving lives and a true medical relief drone in theater for the first time. I think as we come back to our commercial customers, hopefully it demonstrates to them, a level of competence, a level of caring, a level of ability to execute, and the ability to bring a product to market. Because as you know, we have a lot of customers that come to us that say, "Hey, we need a drone that does X, Y, Z," and it's not a drone that's out there. And so we'll we don't do one-offs, but we'll design a drone for a new industry, and so to be able to take that thinking and deploying it into a new industry and such, we're really hopeful that this will build credibility with our current and our future customers. I hope we're really hopeful for the whole industry too, that it really starts to show people that how real this is and how close this is and how much of an impact that this will have, and in doing so, it'll open up the minds to all the additional use cases that will come with Draganfly. And certainly, we hope from brand awareness standpoint, people associate drones and Draganfly with saving time, money, and lives, above all else. So I think it's a really big deal for us. From the order side, it's a small order at the gate, but it's a couple hundred drones behind it. There are some technical things that we've got to get through in order to get those sizes through. Not engineering technical, just import, export, financing, funding, those types of things, all those clearances that have to happen. But I think what we're seeing here is really, what will be, if you think that in World War II, the Jeep was the backbone of the U.S. Army, or the Sherman tank was the backbone of the tank corps, or whatever, that I think what we're about to see here is that our Draganfly medical response drone is really going to become the backbone of medical relief in conflict and humanitarian aid, which would thrill us more than anything.
And we know that this is a global problem. It's a global market. Not all there aren't not every opportunity, not every problem is necessarily a theater of war, but
Right.
we know that this is needed in South America, in Africa, in Southeast Asia. So how big of a market does this potentially open for Draganfly now that the world can associate the Draganfly name with going directly right into theaters of conflict and be able to get the job done?
Yeah, you can read a lot of reports in what's called the DFR, drone as first responder, or medical response drones, and it's any of those reports, they're all kind of 10 billion annually plus as this market matures. And but I think, so yeah, I think it's multi-billion-dollar markets that are available to us, and certainly from a technical standpoint and from an awareness standpoint, I think that we're leading edge, which is where we want to be, and we've got credibility with customers that's going to allow us to deploy these things. So as that market ramps exponentially, which I think it will in the coming year, as we see use cases like this that are so effective, and we see lives saved, and we see quite frankly how war is conducted and how humanitarian efforts are changed and conducted because of drones, and how that impacts every other aspect of life. I think that's really it's tough to identify that as a specific market, but it's certainly a multi-billion-dollar market that we're going to aim to continue to be a leader in.
Devil's advocate, the one problem with situations like this, or the one challenge, is there's usually financial constraints. right? The people who need the help the most, unfortunately, have some financial constraints. And yes, there are organizations and so on around them that try and
Yeah.
that try and help. Revive Soldiers Ukraine, for example. You know, how do you make sure they have the how do they make sure they have the financial resources necessary to be able to get all of these drones?
Yeah. Yeah. So RSU, Revive Soldiers Ukraine, rsuukraine.org is their site. An amazing organization. Elena, who heads it up, just late last year was awarded the top medal that a civilian Ukrainian can be awarded, and was directly awarded it by President Zelensky for all the work that she's done over the 10 plus last years, you know, for veterans and for soldiers, and for, you know, creating that social net in order for people to be able to have, you know, the ability to get physical recovery, from conflicts and stuff. And so they for years, they've been providing millions and millions of dollars of support and aid. They've got clinics over, you know, physical rehabilitation clinics in the Ukraine, which are currently occupied by Russian forces. They've got a great track record of bringing cases over to the U.S. For medical relief. They've got a, you know, they've got a strong balance sheet. Their fundraising right now is robust, and they've made much larger purchases than this recently. But we think that this is where a bunch of their resources are going to continue to go. And so, but I would really encourage people to go to RS Ukraine, that's Revive Soldier Ukraine, so rsukraine.org, and donate. Every dollar helps them. I mean they're doing ambulances, they're doing food, they're doing medicines, they're just doing whatever it takes to get humanitarian aid into those really hot areas, into those combat zones. And it's a thrill to get to work with Irina. This lady, I've never seen a lady with so much energy and so much daring, so much passion. It's an honor to be able to work with her.
And that's rsukraine.org.
Yes, that's correct.
I'm going to make sure our guys flash that across the screen. You can count on us to definitely make a contribution next 24 hours, my friend. That's for sure. You know, it's times like this where I think sometimes also, I mean, we'll spitball for 30 seconds on something, but one of the other hats you wear is that you're the CEO at CurrencyWorks, NFT, Web3 company. And what was going through my mind is saying, maybe we can create an NFT out of each drone to get the NFT community buying one, you know, associating an NFT with, and what that does is those funds go directly to Revive Soldiers Ukraine in order to help them afford to be able to bring in more drones. I was just spitballing there, thinking that I could see a potential tie in here where the NFT community would almost love something like this. I think
yeah.
Really
so just a point of clarification: I'm chairman at CurrencyWorks, not CEO.
Right,
so
so
I mean, yeah. Well, so I mean, my CEO time is definitely focused here on Draganfly, and but at CurrencyWorks, they do have some incredible NFT initiatives that are happening with some just unbelievably incredible groups out of the Ukraine. So there are some NFT initiatives coming that will be impactful out of the Ukraine. So it's
wow, and I didn't know that, right? I mean, I did not know that.
And they're being pretty quiet about it right now, but it's really interesting, you know, how that digital world is coming alive in support of the physical world.
Well, what's really incredible is that you guys are able to provide unbelievable life-saving technology to the citizens of Ukraine, to the soldiers of Ukraine, and more than just life-saving, hope, like you said. And the fact that Revive Soldiers Ukraine found Draganfly, chose Draganfly, and said, we are entrusting you with the lives and the health of our civilians and our soldiers. I think that, if you notice, I didn't even ask you about what the dollar size of this deal could be worth, because I don't think that's even something we should talk. We'll talk about that another day when we're all celebrating all this. But sure. Cam, congratulations, because you've always said, if I remember an interview we did about 9 months ago, you said, my goal is to make Draganfly one of the top 3 drone solutions, drone service company on the planet. And I mean, if you're not there already, which I think you are, this has to be putting the company over the top.
Well, that's so kind of you to say, George. I think we're doing the groundwork. I think we're doing the right work. to be the number one or number two player in the world. And which means you've got to have the right technical products out there. You've got to be able to fit the right solutions. You have to align yourself with the right causes. And I think we're doing those things. And our team and our people are just, I mean, they're going 24/7, they're nonstop. Everybody's overworked and nobody cares, because what we are getting to do for all of our customers is really important work. So, and I do believe we'll be that number one. We're shooting for it. We're gonna go hard to be that number one or two player over the coming years. And I think we've got a real shot.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I think you kind of mentioned, but we should give a shout out to your technical team, because it's them that are really making this happen. Unbelievable, the technology they're just, we all think drones, they go up, they see some, it's just not that easy, right? I mean, and in fact, you guys, shout out to your team if they watch this. Congratulations to all you guys. And you've done, as shareholders, it's great that we're building value, but man, it's amazing to be able to say my company's saving lives right now.
Yeah.
And that's 100%. Awesome. Congratulations, Cam. Can't wait to have you back. I don't know, maybe in a couple of weeks, maybe in 30 days to give us an update on how it's going. Anytime. And maybe even have the lady at Revive Soldiers Ukraine. Maybe
let's do that. Let's do that. Let's hopefully we'll have some footage from that time as well, which was your idea, which I thought was great. And I'd love to have Irina on. She's just an incredible visionary.
Congratulations, Cam. Thanks for being on, my friend.
Thanks, buddy. You're amazing, George. Thanks.
Trust me, I'm just doing the interview. I'm the talking head. You guys, what you're doing, ridiculous. It's not even close, man. I'm so proud of you guys. I really am.
Thanks. You're a good man.
To everybody at home, you've been watching or you've been listening by podcast on Spotify, Google, Apple, your favorite podcast platform. To Cameron Shell, he's the chairman CEO of DraganFly, trades in both the US on the NASDAQ and in Canada under the stock symbol DPRO, DPRO. For those new to the story and you want to do your diligence, 2 easy ways to do that. First, get to the company's profile page on Agoracom. There's a lot of technology, a lot of moving parts here. So we've got it neatly summarized for you to get that good 1,000-foot overview of the company, pardon the pun, overview of a drone company. But then from there, once you feel comfortable, you got that knowledge, you feel great, then link over directly to the DraganFly website. You can see it right above Cam, draganfly.com. And do your deep dive due diligence. Guys, you believe in the future of drone technology. If you believe in initiatives like this, then you've got to consider DraganFly. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. See you next time.
Thanks, George.
Hey guys, this video is over, but don't forget to help your company by liking it and even leaving a comment below. And then don't forget to help yourself by subscribing to our channel and never missing another great Agoracom small cap video.